uh, for sir to comfortably hear.
Yes, sir, sure. Am I properly audible?
Yeah.
Okay.
Raise your pitch, please. Huh?
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the fifth keynote session of Zenith 2021, the annual finance convention, organized by FinGen, the finance and investment cell of Ramanujan College. Today is the second day of our journey of rewriting the history again. Yesterday, we listened so many amazing personalities, and today, again, we are here to listen another great speakers. And we will surely learn so many things today. Now I would request our principal, sir. I'm delighted to welcome our principal, sir, Dr. S.P. Agrawal, and our honorable guest, Shri Padma Shri Aloysius G. Fernandez JI, an Indian economist, social worker, and the chairman of NABARD Financial Services Limited, NAFFINS, and in National Bank of Agriculture and Rural Development subsidies. Formed with the participation of several banks in India, considered by many as a pioneer of microfinance and self-help group concept in India. He was the executive director and is the member secretary of MyREDA, a non-governmental organization working for the eradication of poverty, gender equality, and social development. He was honored by the Government of India in 2000 with the fourth highest Indian civilian award of Padma Shri. He also received the Caritas India Jubilee 2000 award the same year. Very warm welcome, sir. We are privileged to have you here in virtual mode with us and so excited to learn from your experiences. Now, I would request our principal, sir, Dr. S.P. Agrawal, to welcome our guest and share a few words of wisdom.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning to our special guest who will be with us for next 1 hour, Padma Shri Aloysius Prakash Fernandez JI, who is not only the chairman of NABARD Financial Services, but also an expert economist, social worker, microfinance expert. And no other person can be better than him to speak on restructuring the economic policies to accelerate growth of Indian economy. Friends, let me tell you that since yesterday, we have heard various views from economists, financial experts, other experts who told us how Indian economy can change various policies to bring about the economic growth in higher numbers or higher percentage. Well, friends, another important thing is that agriculture is the key to our growth. And I think sir is an expert in that area. So another important thing about our institution, about college, sir, this is a Delhi University maintained college whose name is in honor of the great mathematician, Indian mathematician, Srinivasa Ramanujan. And the college is basically an undergraduate institution, but do a lot of activities. And you will be glad to know that we changed the COVID-19 as an opportunity in the sense that we have trained more than 100,000 teachers all over the country under the COVID scheme of Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya National Mission for Teachers and Teaching. And another important thing is we are doing a lot of activities for our young minds. And in that series itself, this convention is being organized to engage our young minds so that their mind remain busy because they are not going to their respective institutions. So with this background, sir, once again, welcome for accepting our invitation to be with us this morning. And I invite you to share your views with us. Thank you very much, sir.
Am I on?
Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor. I must first say that I followed every word that you said. Thank you very much. You have some consideration for old people. Secondly, I might have learned some economics, but at the age of 82, having worked in the field worked in the World Bank, worked in the Canadian government. I'm a bit of a khichdi. Now, my wife is from UP, Gorakhpur, and when I ask her for khichdi, which is a normal food in the south, she says khichdi is only for sick people. In the north, when we ask for khichdi, we give it to only sick people. So I'm not certain whether I what sort of khichdi I can provide you. However, I should have three concerns which I would like, and I would like to use my notes a bit if you don't mind. One is, I get the impression that we look for one solution, one theory to all our problems. That seems to be a very strong factor throughout my life. In fact, even in the small note I got from your organizers, they speak about financing growth, as Keynes said, and talk about his approach and ask whether it is a boon or a bane. In fact, it is both a boon and a bane. It all depends on when the policy is operative. In fact, John Maynard Keynes himself, he started as a classical liberal economist, if I'm right.
Yes.
He was committed to free markets as a counterbalance to the state, and he advocated minimal governance in the beginning. But he ended up as what? As a social liberal, advocating state intervention to generate demand in a massive way. So he himself had to change. Even if you look at our great reformers, whether you speak about Dayanand Saraswati in the west, in the east, in the west, or Raja Ram Mohan Roy in the east, they never opted for one solution. Raja Ram Mohan Roy, for example, the father of the Bengal Renaissance, he started Hindu college with modern and Western curricula. But he also started Vedanta College to revive interest in Indian culture and to balance Western influence. So it has always been this and that. It has been never this or that. So I think this search for the only solution, even in economics or anywhere, is going to really restrict our whole vision. That's my first comment, and we need to be a bit careful about that. The second thing is, today I hesitate to express an opinion economic policy. What are the reasons? We are very much in the dark, especially after this COVID pandemic recession. We have a new normal, as they say. We are playing cricket before empty stadia. We are staying at home and working. Data is very difficult to collect. Nobody is going to the field. They can't go. And when it's collected, it's often manipulated and guessed. Even the most educated opinion is an educated guess. And sometimes, of course, it also borders on astrology. So we have to be a bit careful today. Thirdly, opinions are polarized. It's very sad. You seem to be either in one basket or in the other basket. Either you are for or you are against. The space for debate and discussion to be both for and to be slightly critical has shrunk considerably. However, as you know, intellectual fashions move in circles, and I think economics also doesn't move according to fashion, but good economists respond with solutions to emerging needs. So let's progress after these few initial comments. There are emerging economic challenges and opportunities. I can talk about other challenges in the past, demonetization, whatever. But the COVID-induced recession is perhaps the latest and the most relevant. In fact, COVID and the economy have something in common. Both require interaction. COVID doesn't spread without interaction, and the economy doesn't run without interaction. You may resort to technology, to virtual meetings, but that is okay for a certain sector, chiefly IT. But in policy making and manufacturing, it is interaction, something in common. And when COVID stops interaction, the economy is affected. So some economists today point out to a few challenges. I'll just mention two. One is the major fiscal deficits, which are higher today. How were they financed? They were financed by money created, leading to bubbles. We call them bubbles in the asset market, shares, gold. But this cannot go on. There will be a stop. Liquidity will reduce. What will happen to investors in the asset market? They will lose. They in turn will cut down on consumption and investment. And you know, our economy runs very much on consumption. Other economists say that even if there is a recovery, commodity prices will rise, and especially petroleum and petrol products, and the trade will increase, as well as the trade deficit. So we are really in a sort of a catch-22 situation. How is the government trying to raise resources? One way they are doing it is disinvestment. That's good, but how long will that last? There are all policies in place to cope with this. And of course, with the related issues of jobs, shortage of jobs, etc., and the squeezing of the middle class. There are policies in place. Government has made them. In the so-called hard sector, you have policies in place for infrastructure. Roads are being built fantastically. My wife comes from Gorakhpur. She says the road to her village was only one small part. Today, it is two ways on either side. It's a cement concrete road. So infrastructure is growing. Power sector, there are reforms, storage, transport, ports. And in the soft sector also, there are policies. Education, the new education policy. In health, of course, it's a tremendous challenge today, you know it. I hope that stirs us to really taking long-term measures. Sanitation, the environment, these are soft sectors, and these sectors are a real challenge, but they hold tremendous opportunities for the young people, which I think we need to look at. So the pandemic has also had a good impact. Let me say this. And in what way? Nature and biodiversity has made a comeback. Now, can we pick up something that's happened as a result of this and carry these policies forward? Can we bounce back? For this, we need to develop systems which are self-generating and not exploitative, which are interconnected, intersupportive systems. And these are traditional ideologies of traditional mainline Hinduism for the last centuries. Systems which do not create waste. Nature does not create waste. There's no scope for waste. A byproduct of one system is food for another. Organic waste produced by animals serves as manure for flora and fauna. Mother Nature seems to be telling us to be self-reliant, as the government is saying, Atmanirbhar. Now, you know that India produces about 1.5 metric lakh tons of waste every day. What can we do with this? This is a tremendous challenge, to reduce it and to use it. But the impact of COVID on waste, on water, on water sources, lakes and rivers and tanks has been positive. Birds have returned to these water sources. Factories are, as a result, because factories have closed, they are not spewing waste and toxic materials into our water. What can we do as young people to carry this forward and not to let it go back to where it was before COVID times? There is also a third sector, not the result of COVID, but of recent reforms in the agricultural sector. Yes, sir, I'm very interested, but since I did not realize that I had to focus on agriculture, I did not give it so much importance. But the recent 3 acts of the government of India, they're not due to COVID, but they definitely will have an impact on the environment. They will reduce the use of water and fertilizers in multiple cropping areas. And I hope this has an impact on surplus production in wheat and rice, which today is stored much more than we require, and that this surplus will decrease. The crux is, how do you decrease the surplus? This is a whole area of challenge. We should not get sidelined. Oops. I went to touch this thing.
Sir, everything is fine, sir. We can see you.
I've just discovered that I'm trying to.
They can see you.
You can see me, but I can't see you.
Oh.
Okay, how do I get back? Let me get back. Let me get back 1 second.
Sure.
Seems like Aloysius sir is facing some difficulty. He's dropped out of the meeting, Arnav sir and principal sir. Should I ring him up right now, sir, to get him back?
No. He will join again. He will join again. Because, you know, what happened, he lost his screen. So I think he would have just punched once or twice the screen, it would have come back. But
Yes, sir. So he's trying to join back, sir.
right, he dropped out and joined again.
He's back, Kripal. उनको co-host बना दो, Kripal.
Hello.
Sound on.
Yeah.
You can hear me?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
Okay.
We can't see you, but it's all right. You can continue your.
No problem. No problem. Okay. My face is not worth seeing in any case. So
It doesn't matter, sir.
Right.
You are a handsome person, sir.
okay. So where was I now? Agri reform. I think so. The impact on the environment is going to be very positive, but there will be some major gaps, which I think we need are presenting tremendous opportunities to all of us. Alternate crops will need to be introduced. New markets will have to be open.
Yeah.
Value addition, technology for value addition will be required. And then many farmers will leave agriculture What are we going to do about it? So this is something that I think this whole area presents tremendous opportunities for the youth. So let me then try to make a few comments, which are generally will cut across all these areas. The Prime Minister, in a recent address dealing with COVID, he called for public participation in this massive effort to cope with the pandemic. This is a key phrase to me, public participation. Now, this is required not only to tackle COVID, but to develop policies for every sector, infrastructure, you name it, skills, training, the hardcore and the soft sector. Why do you need public participation? Because, my dear, this country is so different. Our resources in Kashmir are so different from the resources, the weather, the rainfall in Kerala. I once, when I started watershed management in the 80s, we started in Gulbarga. And I took the technical people from the University of Agriculture who had a package of agricultural practices for Gulbarga. So I went there and I called all the people from one watershed of 1,000 hectares. And we knew we were working with them. And I said, now draw the map of your village. They drew. Then I said, put your fields. They put that. We are very good at this, working with Rangoli. Then I said, go to your field and bring soil from your field. They went and brought. What did we discover? We found 3 types of soils in 1,000 hectares. So one package of practices is not going to work. And if you compare UP with those, I did the Sodic Soil project in UP years ago with the World Bank. It's a totally different problem to what I have in South India. Our crops are different, our soils are different, our weather pattern is different. In fact, in South, we grow vegetables, we grow flowers, we grow fruits. We grow some rice and wheat, hardly any wheat, rice. But all that we grow, we've got contract relationships for years. It all goes through contract farming, nothing new. So it's a whole different. Kerala never had any mandis, for example, because they are based completely on agriculture, on plantation crops. So it's so diverse. Therefore, we have to promote Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. Self-reliant mission is very important. But this self-reliance depends on the local situations. You cannot have self-reliance except if you work on a local situation, on a local solution. And this is due to our diversity. Now, then you come, my friends in economics say, Al, but you forget economies of scale. Well, you can have economies of scale if local solutions network and come together. When you may have heard of the self-help group movement that emerged in '84 in my organization called Myrada, where the cooperative societies broke down into small groups. It was tiny, they were groups of 15 people. But thanks to NABARD and thanks to the RBI and the government, this was picked up to scale. And it's gone to scale. Today, there are 90 million people. And they have networked into community managed resource centers in Maharashtra, especially Karnataka, and of about 100 to 120 FPOs. They have become now farmer producer organizations. So it's based on public part. My point is public participation, as the Prime Minister says, is crucial. And this should lead to local solutions. And that is where young people can play a tremendous role. Go back to where you come from, whether it's a village or not, or town. Look for local solutions. I have so many young champions today, all over India, who I'm in touch with. They have gone back and looked for solutions. They are making money, but it takes a little time. And these local solutions are owned by people. So I think they have to be involved in the process. Well, The second part of diversity is diversity of needs. There are so many needs in cities, manufacturing, and who services, maintenance. Who is responding to these needs? They are mostly responded by people in the informal sector who have never been trained by all of us. They've either been trained by their fathers or they picked up the skills. So the informal sector is huge. And as teachers, I request you to look at this informal sector. 90% of our workforce is in the informal sector. 45 to 50% of our GDP is produced in the informal sector. Yet we do not really, I'm not talking only about amenities and insurance, that is necessary. I'm talking about factoring that into our whole economic policy. I wrote the first paper on this issue in 1995 in the World Bank. I was derided and they said they are free riders, they don't pay tax. Yes, but our country to a certain extent has been supported by the informal sector, where growth has always been consistent except due to COVID. So I request professors to please take this seriously into consideration. The informal sector is not something that is illegal. It is something that is very critical and has to be looked at very carefully and nurtured. So we do not factor it into our policies. Okay, so networking. Now, let the second comment emerges from a comment made by the finance minister. She said, there should be trust between government and private sector. True, trust overcomes uncertainty, which is the most important issue in investment. It's uncertainty. This trust required it's not just trust between private sector and government, but you require it at all levels, not just between top leaders and top industrialists, but at every single level. And this trust must extend throughout groups in our diverse society, social groups, religious groups, regional groups. Trust keeps our society going. You find it in the most unexpected places. I was once in the 80s conducting what I called a participatory rural appraisal in a village in the 80s, 85 or 86, to look at what were the finance resources, credit resources. And the people first identified the bank. So I asked them, can you bring a symbol of the bank? This was in 85. And they brought a big rock. I said, why rock? And they said, sorry, you cannot shift it this side or that side. Then I said, what else? Then they said, cooperative. So they brought a smaller stone. And then somebody brought some papers underneath it. So I said, why? They said, we can shift it this side, that side, but a lot of paperwork. Then I said, what else? Then after a little hesitation, they said, money lender. I said, why money lender? He said, what is the symbol of the money lender? So after a long discussion, they brought Parthenium, that white, we used to call it Congress grass. So they brought Parthenium. I said, why Parthenium? They said, sir, once it comes in the field, you cannot take it out. Very difficult. So money lender is like that. Then I asked, but of these three, whom do you trust most? Trust. Without hesitation, they said the money lender. Not the bank, not the cooperative, but the money lender. Because he was there whenever they required him. So trust plays a very important role in our society. In fact, the self-help group self-selected their members. It was based on relations of trust. What is that trust? Mutual support, mutual relationships of mutual support. We call this affinity later, but that is critical in our traditional society. Let us not break it. So as the finance minister said, it's quite correct, but it is there already in our society. We just have to reflect it. Therefore, economic policies are important, but unless trust defines our relationships, they will be based on uncertainty. And trust has to be built on personal interaction. In matters of policy making and all, even in the IT sector, which works largely on technology, If you don't have top people interacting and on body language, communicating, you really have problems. A lot of these large companies, even good friends of mine, appointed CEOs based in California when their basis was in Bangalore. And on the assumption that they could deal through technology, it didn't work out, because that doesn't build relationships. There's so many things that build relationships, not just messages. So interaction is so important. And we need to renew this after COVID gets over. And my last comment is also from the finance minister. The other day, she asked for patience. This is also a message. She said, have patience. I mean, we have a lot of patience in this country. But it's a message for young people today. I think they don't have, my grandson has no patience. They want immediate satisfaction. They have experience, they have the experience that they can get what they want and get it fast. Press the button, the man is at the door. If he comes 10 minutes late, fire him. So I finished, sir, just 1 minute more. Fire him. And we had recently a problem because he came 5 minutes late and this woman hit him. I can't imagine that. If my train came 1.5 hours late, it wouldn't be a problem in my days. But why this impatience? And let me tell you that you will not give job satisfaction, you will not build relations which are lasting unless you have patience. You can dislike somebody immediately. You can like somebody immediately. You cannot build friendships immediately. So have patience. That's so important. Take her advice and have patience. And do not please have this sense of entitlement. You know, there is many people, chiefly in our political sphere, they think my father was the chief minister, so I am entitled. You know, none of us is entitled, because if we are brought up in management institutes to believe that we are entitled. But when we get into reality, we find that the real world does not accept our entitlement. We may get a job, but it doesn't mean you're going to go up. It takes time. So let us take the advice from people, look at what we can do, approach policies with a wide vision, and really come together to work for a better India. So that is, I think I'll stop there now. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. I think you touched upon every aspect of the economy, and you started with saying basically, economy is just like no one solution can work in this country because it's a wide, country, and neither two solutions can work. We have to micromanage, the local areas. And then you touched upon the environment, health, agriculture, informal sector, very important, and the various things which government is dealing today on economic policies. I believe, see, this will give a lot of idea to our young minds, because they can think in their micro areas or then in their own areas, localities, what are the different problems. They can bring some solutions and can work on that and can make their living. So this is also very, very important, that when we talk of this economy, that unless until we resolve the local issues and we integrate them with the national issues, and then we integrate them with international issues, only then we can work out and make a Atmanirbhar or changed country. So thank you very much for joining us. Even at this age, you are very active, and you know what you are talking. And also, let me tell you that.
Thank you. It's not Kichadi, no?
Sir, and let me tell you, sir, my middle name is also Prakash. You are using Prakash.
Oh, really?
Thank you very much. Over to you, guys.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we proceed with the question and answers. I have some questions to ask, and those who want to ask any question can write in the chat box. So, sir, the first question. When it comes to microfinance, how can corporations offset the risk involved in lending money to impoverished people?
Can you say that again, please?
When it comes to microfinance, how can corporations offset the risk involved in
How can cooperation
offset?
of
Offset.
Offset.
offset?
Offset.
Okay. I didn't quite follow that.
So, sir, basically, he's asking that how can corporations, while lending to marginalized sections, how can they manage the risks involved, sir?
How can they manage?
The risk involved.
Okay.
How
Risk,
can they
yeah.
manage the risk involved?
Manage? I didn't follow.
How can they manage the risks involved? If the
Risk involved. Risk. Oh, you're
RISK.
talking about risk. Yes. See, this is the problem. I have written a lot on this issue. You're quite right. You're quite right. We need now a new type of microfinance, which is not so micro. The average loan today is about 35,000. I can't buy a goat for 35,000, leave alone a cow. So what can I do value addition to agriculture with 35,000? I can't. So to me, microfinance, although I started Sangamitra was the first microfinance not-for-profit institution. I started it in 1995. And the RBI asked me, hey, Al, are you starting a blade company? But today I'm very disappointed. What he says is right. There are two issues. One is the size of the loan should grow larger, at least 2 lakhs in installments. And this is important. But because there is no insurance, there is no security, nobody is lending more than 35,000. But unless you lend about 2 lakhs to 3 lakhs, there is really no investment. Because if you lend 30,000, the repayment of the loan comes from other sources of income, not from the asset that you're creating. You're not creating an asset. So on one side, the loan should be bigger. So the lenders are covering their risk by keeping the loan small. On the other hand, finance companies are not helping the client to reduce their risk. And this to me is a critical factor. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Yeah. Finance sectors today, the biggest, they are in the money, the profits they are making are going back into their whole establishments and salaries. So how much are they investing in reducing the client's risk? Nothing. They are only involved in ensuring that the money revolves faster. So the technology to get the money out is very developed. So the speed of money revolution is creating a profit. And then they go and harass the people to pay the money back. But what are they doing to help the people to lessen their risk? Nothing. And therefore, I think microfinance today has to move into slightly higher 2 to 3 lakhs. Government is starting at 5 lakhs. Let us start at 2 to 3 lakhs. Secondly, they have to invest in providing services after the loan, management services, technical services. This is not happening. I'm really hoping that something happens. This is the last contribution I want to make before I pass. That we really need to help people with larger loans. And once we do that, to help them to reduce their risk and make a profit. Thank you for raising that question.
Thank you, sir. So, sir, the next question is, many people who are below the poverty line often dishonor the loans levied to them because of their inability to manage their finances. How can we promote intelligent saving methods and make them better managers of their money?
Precisely my point, that after you give the loan, you have to provide managerial services and technical services and marketing services. What are we doing? Nothing. Formerly in agriculture, the government agricultural services used to provide extension. Today, they do nothing. Formerly, the animal husbandry department used to provide animal husbandry services. Today, there is no animal husbandry department. It's all become milk marketing. as far as technology is concerned, forget it. There's never been any service extension services. So I fully agree with you. We need to invest in this sector. Government has withdrawn from it entirely. So let us, this is something I think the future holds for us. You may not make money tomorrow, like microfinance agencies, but you will make money and you will be satisfied that you are really doing something.
Okay, thank you, sir. And the next question is, despite substantial government intervention, the rural development is yet to pace up. What should the government do differently to achieve this improvement, sir?
What
I didn't follow you. Sorry.
That word I didn't get it. Repeat the question.
Despite substantial government intervention, the rural development is yet to pace up. What should the government do differently to achieve this improvement, sir?
Okay. See, rural is exactly what I said in my talk. This country is diverse, and government should really look for local solutions. I gave the example of one watershed in Gulbarga, where the government had one package of practices, but there were 3 types of soils. And this package didn't suit all the 3. You needed 3 different packages of practices. So see, the land and the soil and the rainfall in UP is different from Karnataka. Even in where I'm working, I work in almost, in Mairada, we worked even in 200,000 hectares of watershed. We had 5 or 6 different soils and climatic regions in 2 states. So we are a diverse, very diverse agricultural this thing, and plus we depend on the monsoon, which of course is erratic. But unless you have local solutions to agriculture, it's not going to work. So that is what we have been working for the last 30 years. So the government has to decentralize. We need more people. Our extension services, government extension no longer functions. So it has to come from public participation, which the Prime Minister asked us to do.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for answering our questions. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us. We got this amazing opportunity to listen to you and learn from you. Such a wonderful session.
Thank you.
And
But I'll give you a
for giving us
secret.
your valuable time.
In these very depressed times, it was interacting with young people was refreshing for me. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And a special mention to our principal, sir, Dr. S.P. Agrawal, for supporting us throughout to do our best. And thank you to all the participants for being such a wonderful audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
God bless.
God bless.
Thank you for joining us, Aloysius, sir. You can now leave the meeting. We were really blessed to have your presence amongst ourselves.
Thank you very much. I hope to see you sometimes here in Bangalore. Welcome to visit me.
Definitely, sir. We'll come down to your state and maybe visit you in person as well.
You're all welcome. All welcome.
Subsidize.
Let us start something new.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Sure, sir. Thank you. Thank you.